We are back for Thursday Night Football, everyone, and it's going to be a bit of a tricky game. We had the Bengals hosting the Steelers, the Bengals without Joe Burrow, recently added Joe Flacco this past weekend, so it's going to be a hard one to read, and it's really important for this one that we dive into the data analytics and then also use critical thinking to understand how the game may play out. To kick things off, we'll start on the Steelers side since they have a bit more continuity. And our first prop is Aaron Rodgers for 200 plus passing yards, offered at minus 180. This is hitting 4 of 5 games, and we see the Cincinnati defense is allowing lots of passing yards. So this should be, I think, pretty free money. If we scroll down and see how other quarterbacks are doing against the Cincinnati defense, we see that they're crushing this line. Love with 259 passing yards, Goff with 258, Knicks with 326, Trevor Lawrence 271, and Joe Flacco with 290. So these are like pretty, I'd say this group of quarterbacks is kind of a mid-tier level quarterback, and they're all crushing this line. So that's kind of why I'm loving it. And if we're going Aaron Rodgers passing yards, I feel like the next obvious choice is DK Metcalf receiving yards. I'm looking at 50 plus, offered at minus 205. And again, the Cincinnati defense allowing lots of receiving yards to wide receivers. We can see Metcalf's had a bit of a slow start, but these last 2 games have massively crushed this line. He's averaging 6.2 targets, roughly 23% of the Steelers' target share, and leading them in that target share metric by quite a bit. And then also if we look at how are other wide receiver ones doing, we can see that every wide receiver one this season to face Cincinnati have crushed it. Obviously, there's some elite ones like Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown in there, but there's others that I would consider to be worse or not quite as good as Metcalf that has also hit this line. And our final Steelers prop is Jaylen Warren, 40 plus rush yards. This is hitting 3 of 4 games. Warren is getting a good number of carries, 13.5 carries this season, over 56% of the carry share for the Steelers. So he's getting plenty of touches to crush this line. And even the game he missed, he came really close as well. If we look at how other running backs are doing against the Cincinnati defense, again, we know the Bengals defense is kind of crappy. So, all these running backs have crushed the line this season. I think Warren will do so. Maybe not in the emphatic fashion that the likes of Gibbs or Jacobs have, but I think he'll definitely get past 40 yards for sure. Moving over to the Bengals side now, we had Jamar Chase for 60 plus receiving yards, and this is hitting his last 2 games quite comfortably. We see, again, this Pittsburgh defense allows lots of yards to wide receivers. And what I like about this is the addition of Flacco. He's definitely a step up from Browning, so I think that will help Chase, as well as just the number of targets Chase is getting. He's averaging the 4th most in the NFL this season, with an A- matchup grade, as we talked about with the Steelers' weak pass defense. So I think with Flacco, an easier matchup, and then the number of targets he's getting, Chase should be able to hit this 60 plus that with Burrow he would normally smash. Next for the Bengals, we have Noah Fant for 20 plus receiving yards. This is hitting all 4 games this season, and we see Pittsburgh allow lots of yards to tight ends. What also I loved about this prop, scrolling down, we can see in each game this season 4 receptions, 3 receptions, 5 receptions, 4 receptions. So getting plenty of receptions to hit this line. And then finally, if we look at other tight ends, I know there's a few elite ones in here like Henry, but all tight ends to face Pittsburgh this season have cash, which I think is extremely encouraging. And if we look at their number of receptions, 1, 2, 4, 3, that's kind of all below or roughly at for maybe Hawkinson what Font is getting. Of course, we have Hunter Henry with 8, which I don't think Font will quite get, but if he gets his usual 3 to 4, this should cash. Offered at minus 209, so again, a nice little leg for a parlay. And our final prop, which I absolutely love as a straight, is Chase Brown under 13.5 carries. And this is actually hitting all 4 games without Joe Burrow. And if we see, like in games without Joe Burrow, if we go to the roster page here and scroll down, we can see that just across the board, all of Brown's rushing statistics have been down by like 20+% since Burrow's been out. And I know this may seem weird. You think, oh, he would get more carries and more carry share. But I think the thing is that teams no longer respect the Bengals pass game. So they're cheating and they're really boxing in the Bengals rush. And that's forcing them to kind of almost move away from it. They're daring the Bengals to throw the ball because they know they're weak in that area. Another thing I like about this too, I think the Bengals will be trailing. I think the game will stay pretty close, but in the fourth quarter they could be trailing, which will then force Flacco to throw the ball, and that will cut into some of Brown's carries as well too. And in terms of how I'm going to run this, I'm going to go with the big players for this one, the reliable ones. Rodgers 200 plus passing yards, Metcalf 50 plus receiving yards, and Chase 60 plus receiving yards. I just feel like all these players are likely to get plenty of touches and perform in prime time. And we're getting it at plus 204, which I feel like is pretty solid value for 3 picks. Anyways, guys, if you've enjoyed the video, drop a like. And also, if you want access to these data analytics tools that we use to break down all our NFL research, make sure to use the link in the description to join HOF. You can use code HOFYT to get 50% off your first month. Best of luck with your bets for Thursday, guys, and take it easy. Peace.